As much as I love doing these podcasts virtually, I much rather sit down and talk to somebody one-on-one in person. I can look at them, I can feel the energy that they're giving off, and it's just a better vibe. So if you know anybody that would be interested or that would be a good guest for the podcast show, please get us in contact, put us together, or just relay them my information. I would love to sit down and talk to them. And with that, I will continue to do my best to improve my podcasting skills and my interviewing skills to one day bring on bigger guests that you would love to see me collab with. Ari Block, man, thanks for being here today. You are a busy man trying to fit 45 minutes in the calendar, so thank you so much.
Oh, the pleasure is all mine. The pleasure is all mine.
What the accent you have, where are you from, man?
I was born in South Africa. I lived in all kinds of countries all over the world. So it's a mix of maybe 5 or 6 different accents, and I speak 4 languages.
Wow.
So it's, those dogs that are just a mix of everything, the mutts, that's me. That's me.
Those are the fun ones though. You got a little bit of experience. What countries did you live in?
So I lived in Australia. I've lived in, of course, the States now for many years. I've been in the UK for a while. Lithuania, believe it or not, traveled
Wow.
extensively in the entirety of Europe. So a lot of time in Italy, Switzerland, Germany. Worked for Siemens for like 8 years. So I've been around, man.
Wow, that's impressive. Like, I actually, just to touch on Lithuania, my hockey coach was from Lithuania. Wasn't a very nice, they're not very nice people over there, are they?
Okay. So technically, my great grandparents, whatever, are from Lithuania, right? But my wife is bona fide born in Lithuania, so she's proper, right?
Oh, I
So
that.
so wait for it. No, I give her shit all the time, man. So the joke is that there's only one word for like pleasure or joy in Lithuanian. Just one word, because they don't need that many words and like they don't use them at all. And it's
Bleh.
malanumas.
Oh, okay.
And they're just, I don't know, there's definitely something about the culture, right? That's very, very serious.
Yes.
Yeah. They
Root.
have that. They have that thing going on. So I give her shit about it all the time. Don't worry about it.
What does that word mean that you said?
Malanumas, it's the only word that describes like joy or happiness, or like it's the only word to describe something positive, basically.
Dang. No wonder why. It kind of translates down a little bit. That's funny.
Yeah. It's a beautiful
Okay.
country. Did you hear about their ad that they put out?
No.
Okay, so how vulgar can I get on this show? Are there any limits?
Absolutely not, man. Do your thing.
Absolutely not. Okay. So this is real. This is not me being vulgar. This is real. The Ministry of basically Tourism from Lithuania came up with an ad. Okay. And you can Google this. This is a real thing. The ad was that Vilnius is the G spot of Europe.
Is that like the capital of Lithuania?
Yeah. So that's
I like that, actually.
that was their kind of tourist ad to get people over, and it's like a video thing. It's brilliant. Like the audience has to go and search for this.
Yeah,
thing. It's absolutely brilliant.
It
And in Lithuania's defense, as if they need me to defend them, it's a beautiful country, absolutely gorgeous.
Wow. Yeah. So, dang, moved around all over the place. I saw on your LinkedIn profile that you were working with the Israel Defense.
That's right. That's right.
I didn't hear you mention that you lived in Israel.
I was working in the States. I did live in Israel for a while. Yep, that's another thing that I did.
Are you allowed to speak on a little bit what you were doing in the defense? It sounds like some high class shit.
It was, yeah. It was. No, but that's why I didn't mention it. I can't talk about it.
Okay, no, all good, man. Well, what are you up to nowadays? Like, I know it sounds like you got a book coming out. You're a product engineer, podcast host, man.
Yeah.
How do you do it?
Okay. So I think you'll probably agree with this. The podcast is awesome because you get to meet amazing people.
Yeah.
So that's so much fun, right? So that's not work. That's joy. And then the thing that I got a day job, right? I'm a product leader for again, I can't mention who the company is, but they're paramilitary and they create military equipment.
Can I take a guess?
Sure, you won't get it
Is
though.
it? It's not Palantir, is it?
No, it's not one of the big ones now.
Okay.
And then, but I'll tell you what's really keeping me busy. And sure, there's the book that I'm publishing, but my daughter is publishing 2 books. How about that? And she's 11.
Wow. And they're not coloring books.
No, no. So one of the books is a book of poems, right?
Wow.
And she's pretty damn good. So I can send you to her LinkedIn. She's got some really good stuff out there. And yeah, we're hoping to get the book out this year. So that's super exciting.
Dang, man, that's very impressive. I don't have any kids right now, but I'm sure if my younger
enjoy
ones...
yourself. I am envious.
No, man, that's awesome. How did that even come about? Is that something that you kind of like put your kids in that position, or she wanted to do that?
So I was pushing her to, do something impressive. And I was pushing her to study all these books, and she really didn't like it. She was like, "This is like hell, Daddy," right? That's what she told me. And then somebody gave me some advice, and it's like, "Oh, you should give her a project that she would, bona fide enjoy." So I started talking to her and like, "What are you doing at school? What do you enjoy?" Well, she tells me that she's writing this book of poetry for a school project.
Wow.
And I'm like, "Holy shit." Like, I didn't know that. Like, I'm a shit father right now. I have no idea what's happening in your life. And then I come up with this brilliant idea, and I tell her, "Look, you've been wanting a cat for a long time." And I'm like, "Nope." And I'm like, you get this book, not just for school. You get it published with a publisher. I'll get you a cat.
Mm.
She is writing poetry every single day. Every single day. It's getting really good. Based on her pre-publish of the poetry book, and she's 11, right? She got picked up for a summer internship as a creative director.
At 11 years old.
At 11 years old. Like, this is batshit crazy. Like, it's crazy. So yeah, this is Ari Block.
Nice, man. Well, congratulations to you and to her. I hope it all works out.
It's the what they say, right? Like, "Oh, my son or daughter, whatever, they're either going to be a criminal or a CEO." I'm not sure how it's going to end yet, but it's definitely one of those two.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I don't have any kids myself, but a lot of my friends, they have kids, and it seems like parenting is a lot about like bribery. It sounds like bribery.
Yeah. You know what? I would argue that is part of it, right? So absolutely threats. Yes, I not proud of it, but yes, threaten your children, right? If you don't do absolutely like
Oh, I see where you're coming from.
fear, right? Like, do this or you're not going on your play date, or do this or you're not having dessert. So a lot of threats. And then on the other side of threats, a lot of bribery. Yeah, like, "Oh, do a good job and you'll get ice cream, or you'll get a cat, or you'll get a what." So there's a lot of that on the two extremes. And then I don't know what the right thing to do is, but for me, what's in between is just sharing from my experience and listening to them and trying to figure out and just acknowledging that they're actually like human beings and not just, children. They're even at young ages. Like, I was so shocked. Even I was like, okay, a 5-year-old is a baby, right? And then for the first time I had a 3-year-old, and I'm like, no, this is like a full-blown human being with like thoughts and wills and wants. And I'm like, this is not a baby. This is a human being. So that was a huge shock for me. So just adjusting to that, you're dealing with 3 adults basically, even though, one's 13 and, the Emma's 11. And then I've got a 6-year-old raptor basically running amok. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, but it definitely humbles you.
Yeah, dang, man, that's awesome, because you got 3 little ones and you made it on the other side. Your hair's still there. You're looking good, man.
Dude, so all this white hair, it all came with the 3rd one, right? So first 2, right? No white hair. I'm like, I'm a great parent. I know what I'm doing. I got my shit together. 3rd one comes along. And I just learned how wrong I was. Like
Really?
nothing that worked with the prior two worked. And we were just like, he got kicked out of 2 different schools. Like, dude, this is like real shit. As parents, we're working, we need the system to take care of him so we can do our
Yeah.
jobs. And 2 different schools, one after the other, more or less, they basically like, nope, we're not having this. So yeah, and then you're like, as a father, you're like, what am I doing wrong? Like, this is clearly not working.
What was the issue?
So depends who you ask, right?
Right. Yeah, because I was in that position too. And I always resented my parents. They never took my side of the story. I'm like, I'm your kid. Like,
Yeah.
you should take my side first and then, find your own information and make your decision after you hear the teacher's or the principal's side.
Yeah. So the teacher, and this was like one of those new age schools. So we're like, oh, they'll be like flex to him and stuff. Sorry, I think we have an issue here.
Uh-oh, Ari's camera blacked out.
Let me see if I can get it back working. Something went wrong here. Let me try come back in.
Yeah, no worries, man. Just happy it's not my end for once. I'm not the one getting kicked out of here. But anyways, obviously, I'm just gonna keep the show rolling. Ari Block is having some technical difficulties with his camera, but I want to get him back in here because I feel like we're about to start cooking with grease. Just his accent alone is very intriguing to me, and I can oh, there he is right there. Let him back in.
Okay.
And
Sorry
he is
about
back,
that.
ladies and gentlemen.
Okay. Let me fix the
No
camera again.
worries.
Okay. So are we recording still?
Yes, sir. New age school.
Okay. So they're like, your child is willfully disobedient.
That's aggressive.
That is something. And they're like, oh, you need to like get help. Like, we can't deal with him. And this is like the second school that this is happening, right? So my wife and I, we're freaking out. Like, we don't know what to do. And my first thought is, this is punishment for what I did to my parents. This is basically karmic revenge. So that's where my head goes. My second thought is like, shit, like, we need to deal with this because he needs to be somewhere. And like, this has happened twice. We can't like have this happen a third time. Like, what are we gonna do? We're gonna run out of schools in the area. You know what I did?
Not homeschool. You can't. You got to work.
Well, I had him stay home for a whole week. And he did, and I think he was like 4 at the time. He did 8 hours of Khan Academy math that week.
Wow.
And he broke down and he was crying, and we had a very adult conversation. And I said, look, and I didn't sugarcoat it. I said, look, the school basically is kicking you out, and you need to get your shit. And by that time it had kicked him out. So I was just fearful of this happening a third time. And I was like, look, we need to get our shit together. And you need to listen to your teacher. You need to, do what everybody does at circle time or whatever weird thing they do at these schools. Otherwise, you're going to have to stay home with me. And this is what we do at home.
Yeah.
So he had this such a negative perception of like, anything is better than staying with daddy at home and doing 8 hours of math. That he straightened out. And he was like,
Wow.
he started listening, and he started like doing the circle time properly, and he wouldn't run around, and he wouldn't, like, he got his shit together. A 4-year-old child, imagine that.
Yeah.
That's
No, and
hardcore, dude.
I know the fact you said like that you talking to your 4-year-old
Yeah.
in an adult manner like that, and he was comprehensive and
Oh
understood,
yeah. Oh yeah.
obviously.
No, it's crazy. There are such young adults, even at the age of 4 or 5. Now he's 6. And no, it's just amazing. As a youngster, before I was married, or even before I had my first kid, what's a 6-year-old? It's a baby, right?
Hmm.
I never believed that they're so intelligent and emotional and smart, and it's crazy, man.
Wow. That is awesome. He said anything's better than staying at home with dad.
Anything is better. It's like,
Dang,
you want
man.
to stay home with daddy? Nope.
Go back to school. Wow. So in raising your 3 kids, would you say that obviously you had some issues, well, not issues, I would say, just some troubleshooting with the youngest one. Is there
Karmic
like a,
punishment.
yeah. Would you say there's a difference between like raising a girl and a boy? Is it like harder, easier, better? Do
It's
you
hard
prefer one
to
or the other?
it's hard to say, right? It's a sample of one or a sample of three, right? So it's hard to say. I've never had this conversation with other parents. But I will say that each child has their own personality. They are their own person. My firstborn, he's a people pleaser. He likes to get shit done. He wants to make the people around him happy. My youngest, right, also a boy, 2 boys, but they are such different people. He is a raptor. Like, he enjoys raising hell. Like, he is the most loved person in the world, so he will socialize with random strangers at Costco, just like, "Hey, I'm Josh. Who are you?" And people love him, but he will raise hell, right? And then my daughter is this like weird thing in the middle, like so lovable, everybody loves her, but then she can also like put her head down and get shit done. So it's just they're so different from each other, and I didn't notice any kind of like boy versus girl thing. Um, so it's hard for me to say that, but obviously there's physical differences, right? My 13-year-old son, he's only 2 years older than my daughter. Dude, like he's physical, and she's this like small little thing,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So and it's just 2 years difference, right? And just at age 11 to 13, he just exploded. So
Wow.
that physical aspect, obviously now he looks like a man, like he looks like a full grown man. It's crazy.
That is crazy. And do you like, can you see yourself like in your kids, like little bits and pieces? Like, oh, I know
Oh,
he got that
yeah.
from his
Oh
mom.
yeah.
He got that from me.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Big time. Obviously all the bad stuff, in front of their mom, I say, "Oh, that's from you," just to piss her off. And just me saying that is my little one, who just wants to raise hell. So,
Yeah.
oh, absolutely. Like, they get the worst and the best from us, and you just gotta love it all.
Yeah. No, I'm excited. Me and my wife, or now wife, I just got married like 2 weeks ago. So we
Congratulations.
are, thank you, sir. So we are in the talks of, trying to, which sounds so crazy that 2 people come together to make another human
Yeah, no,
person.
it's ridiculous. It's
But we
ridiculous.
are super excited, and like as we're getting like further along in our careers and getting, I wouldn't say financially stable, but we're starting to find ways to generate money, which was, you kind of need money to have kids. I kind of want to ask you about that too. But no, we're super excited to start planning for it and just being around little kids. When you get old, like, at a younger age, it was like, oh, if the kids weren't my kids, it was like, ah, they cry, they shit everywhere. Like,
Yeah.
but now, I don't know, you just go through like maybe it's maturity, or you
There's a
just grow
change.
up and it's just, yeah, he's like, you see the beauty in the
Yeah.
babies.
Yeah. I was a big no children for a long time. And
Really?
then I'm sitting and my wife was all there, like, at the time.
Of course.
And I'm sitting in the car and I'm talking to my brother, my eldest brother. I'm the smallest. And I hear him having this conversation with his daughter, right? He's like almost 10 years older than me. And then at some stage, she's like, "I love you, daddy." And
Mm.
that moment, just listening to that, like, I'm a fly on the wall, I'm on him, on the phone with him, and then they have that exchange because she's just in the car. Dude, it melted my heart. I immediately called my wife and I was like, "Let's do it."
Get to the bedroom right now.
And yeah, I was like, okay, fine. I mean, like, I get it now. And then, my son came along, and I don't know, Hollywood or films or whatever, they tell you that you see the child and like you immediately connect, and like none of that for me.
Oh,
And I was like, okay, that's a thing that poops and screams and whatever. Um, and then I was like holding him or something like that, and he grabs my finger and just squeezes it. It was all over. Like I was like, that was it. Everything that I thought that no, it was just melted away in seconds. So
wow.
it's kind of funny. It doesn't happen the same for everyone, but
Yeah.
it's you think you know what you know, but yeah, you're dead wrong.
Yeah. No, man, that's beautiful. And hopefully I can experience that, something similar to your experience, that connection, that bonding with your child. I am a little curious though, because I have no kids now. And one of the things that was always fearful, maybe not just for me, but probably for a lot of young adults, is the financial
Yeah.
responsibility that comes with having children.
Yeah.
When you and your wife, did you guys like pre-plan any of that, or you kind of just like, we love each other, we'll make it work? Or like how did that go about?
So we are very different people, my wife and I. I am all about the planning. Um, she is my north to my south, so the diametric opposite. And she was like, "Let's do this; it'll be fine." And I'm up in Excel sheets, dude. Like I'm like, no, I shit you not. Like I'm like, how much does this cost? And diapers and school and where will we
Wow.
live? And so yeah, I was like, I think if I had to be honest, I would say that the financial aspect of it, that was my biggest fear. And just to know that we would be okay, that kept me up at night. And I honestly didn't know that we would be. And at the end of the day, it was an emotional decision, which is very unlike me. Um, but you make it work. And I think the other thing that kind of I learned is that, we get better with the years, right? We get better jobs, we get promoted, right? We pay down our mortgage. Like things happen that you kind of don't think about, right? You're not going to have the same job with the same salary, right? You're going to be better off in 3, 4, 5 years. Um, so, it kind of helps. It's not that, with this salary, we'll never, well, that's not going to be your salary in 2 years, right? You're going to
Yeah.
get better.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, I think that's good. A good mindset to have, because especially, having kids, you don't think about your career. The goal for everybody is to obviously improve their career, increase their income throughout their I don't know, their growing up, or whatever you want to call it. So that's good to know, because that's one of my, I am saying that's probably one of my biggest fears. I know we're not here to talk to pick your brain about parenting and everything, but I know I'll be a good dad. It's just like I want to be able to provide them with, the sports that they want to do and the activities and all of that kind of stuff, and don't want to be the one that's like, oh, sorry, man, we can't go on the field trip this weekend. Uh, we got to pay our mortgage.
Yeah. I'll tell you, what I also learned is that there is no number in financial money in which you are suddenly happy. So there's no number in which suddenly you become free and you have all the time in the world and you can spend time with your family. In fact, that number is every single number.
Mm,
What changes is how you manage yourself. And, I see a lot of people that keep climbing that ladder, but they never find that time. And, I think the answer is the time is right now. And the number is whatever number you have right now. That's the time to find joy with your kids. I wish I figured that out earlier. I was in the rat race for many years. Um, but if there's one thing that I could advise you and anybody else listening is the time is now. It's not sometime in the future. Of course, the Cat Stevens, song with the father and then the son who doesn't have time for the. So it's that, right? Cat in the cradle kind of situation.
yeah.
So The time is right now. Go play ball with your son. It's right now.
Yeah. I love that, man, because I think obviously with the way the world's going and the social media, and it's easy to get sucked into that rat race, that grind mode mentality.
Yeah,
And then like what really matters is what's at home waiting for you.
that's right. That's right.
So
I had a nice story. Um, I was working 14, 15 hours a day. I basically got dehydrated and got hospitalized. Um, so I get back and my boss says to me the following thing. He says, look, Ari, there are two things in life that you need to have, two bases, two cores. One is family and the other is a job. And at that time, I was all about the job, right? And what he said to me is that if those two bases are strong, if you hit a tough time with one of them, you can lean on the other, right? Because you have two solid bases. But if all you have in life is just work, what happens when you hit a rough patch with your work? So now your whole identity is wrapped around this work situation. Who are you? What are you? Are you now a failure as a human being? So, for me, the concept of, family, work, and then there's other things. It's not just those two. It's kind of the building blocks of life, right? And you want to make sure that each of your building blocks are stable.
yeah, man, that's awesome. And I'm glad that you said it so perfectly because I think a lot of people need to hear that, especially in a time 2025 that we're in now. Um, but to touch on kind of get out of the parenting and the, you know, all that, what at what time in your life did you start to really focus on your career? Because I know for me, like my experience and a lot of people that I know is like you go to high school, you
Yeah,
graduate, your parents want you to
yeah,
go to college, get a
yeah,
job, and then boom. For me, it wasn't
yeah,
so linear.
yeah. I'm not a big fan. Look, I'm very well educated. I've got a master's from University of Chicago. I've got a first degree in
Wow.
computer science. But yeah, that stuff isn't necessarily not the right thing for everyone. And I don't think that the masters will necessarily help everyone. In fact, I argue to a lot of people that an MBA is a waste of money, even though I did one. I'll be brutally honest about that. I think the right time is now. And it doesn't matter
Mm,
if you're 5 or 10 or 15. Like if you're a parent and you have a passion, share that with your kids, get them excited about whatever you're excited about, get to know what they're excited about it and get them excited about it. I sold my first business when I was 15. Um,
wow.
was programming, from age 8. I started my first business when I was 8, 9. It was a computer, fixed broken computers, basically. But my dad was an entrepreneur. So, I saw him and, monkey sees, monkey does. So, I just did what I saw the people around me doing. And, sold my next company 20 something and was part of a very significant $80 million exit in my 20s. And that
Wow.
company turned into a $1 billion company, right? I didn't get much from that, 80 million, but it was a hell of a ride, right? To be involved in something like that in your 20s, right?
Yeah, hell of a ride and definitely makes for a good story. Do you can you touch a little bit on that? Like how did that
Yeah,
process go?
sure,
Well, first of all,
sure.
selling a business, I mean, I don't even know. I've never sold, I haven't sold a business yet. So like, I don't know, maybe just
Yeah,
touch on it a little bit.
it's a nice story. So actually, I got this $1 million project, and I was supposed to close the project.
What year was
Um,
this in, just for some
this
context?
was 2006, 7.
Oh, okay. Wow. That's
Okay.
like pretty social media kind of.
We had ICQ, man.
I've heard of that one. Actually, it's not around
So
anymore.
no. So yeah, so I come into this company and I got this $1 million deal that I need to close, right? So I almost fuck it up, right? That's a whole nother story. But I finally close the deal, get the $1 million, everybody's happy. Get the software and the hardware developed. It's a forensics hardware. Um, it wasn't it wasn't a forensics hardware back in that time. It was actually just a piece of hardware to copy phones from one phone to another, right? So think about it. You
Mm,
get a new phone, you need to back up your phone numbers, right? This
yep.
is pre-cloud. Um, I go to Australia. We deploy these 600 units all over Australia. I look at the reporting and I'm like, nobody's using it. Like, that's bad. So I go to Australia and I sit in the stores for hours. And lo and behold, nobody touches the hardware unit. So I talk to the manager and I'm like, hey, can I talk to your salespeople? I'm here with corporate, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, but keep it short. So I go and talk to the salespeople and they're like, dude, like, I'm commission based. If I copy the phone numbers and a client doesn't ask for it, I'm basically going to make less money because I'm commission based. So I'm not going to do it. So unless somebody asks for it, it's not going to happen. And maybe one person or two people a day ask for it. So we don't use it. Now, I sold this company $1 million worth of these units, 600 of these units. Nobody's using it. So I'm in panic mode. I got some good friends in the geek world. They tell me this thing, Android is coming out and it's going to basically revolutionize cloud and there's going to be no need to, copy your contacts from phone to phone. So I go back home and I tell my boss, look, I got bad news and I got really bad news. That's exactly what I tell him. And I say, hey, nobody's using our shit in Australia. And it gets worse. Not only nobody's using it, in a couple of years, this whole company and whole business is going to hell because cloud's going to come along and nobody's going to need to copy their contacts from phone to phone, right? I mean, even saying that nowadays when cloud is a thing, like really? People did that back then? Like, that's crazy. So, okay. The good news is that we detected this problem maybe 2 to 3 years before Google really made its first splash with the HTC. And even then, cloud wasn't a thing just yet. It was getting there. So it gave us enough time to pivot. So we're sitting, myself, the CEO, and then the American salesperson, and we're like, this is what Ari has found out. And then Adi, the American salesperson, brilliant salesperson, funny as hell. Mouth of a pirate, like curses his ass off. It's so funny. So Adi's like, hey, why don't we pivot to forensics? And Ron and I are like, well, what does that mean? So he's like, well, today we're copying, phone numbers to another phone just to back them up so they have a temporary phone or they move to a new phone or whatever. But like police officers, right, they take a phone, they need to get the information on the phone for forensic uses. So instead of copying it from one phone to another, just put out an encrypted report and they can use that as evidence. So we're like, okay, like that's pretty easy. So instead of copying it from one phone to another, you just want me to put out a PDF? And Adi's like, yeah. So we're like, we can do that. And so the next question is, can you, Ron is like, can you sell this? And then he says, fuck yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Sold his ass off millions and millions and millions of dollars from this company's going south to an $80 million exit. And the company is a unicorn nowadays. And we had no idea we were building a unicorn back in the day. But that pivot turned the company into a unicorn. So it's just crazy, right? You don't know what you're doing when you're doing it. It's only in retrospect you understand that you were building something so massive.
Wow, that's a beautiful story. And then what was your departure from there? How did you guys, obviously you're doing something different now, so you guys went different ways. Are they still working on the same thing?
Yeah. So my philosophy was the second I get bored, I go find something new. And I was like, look, this is not interesting anymore. It's kind of like, I come in, I do the same thing every day. And we talked about how education isn't necessarily like the thing. I didn't have a first degree at the time. I had no education. So I was like, okay, I'm going to leave the company. I'm going to get my first degree and I'm going to see what else is out there because this was basically my first job. So my wife was like, you're crazy. You're basically a vice president at the age of 20 something, like don't leave. And I'm like, be fine, like be okay. It was.
This is before kids?
This was way before kids. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I left, I got my degree in computer science and I joined, yet another startup, which, was again sold. And then that company was sold again and ultimately became Siemens. So we were a startup that was sold twice and then ultimately became the huge German company that everybody knows, right? Everything from electronics to beds to pumps to you name it. Fridges, I think even they've got. Yeah.
Dang, man, that's awesome. Like I hear in that story, it's like, all right, it's time to hang it up and retire, but you keep going.
Let me, so here's the stat, right? The thing that I always remind myself. When people, men especially, right, when they stop working, they die,
Mm,
right? So I'm like, well, I just need to find a job that I enjoy doing, right? You just need to find something that you actually enjoy doing. So what was really cool about this forensics, what turned into a forensics company, is I used to tell the story about how this hardware, forensics hardware, that I basically was the first, hired the team, hired the hackers, hired all that. It was basically got a story from the Met Police in the UK. And they're like, hey, with your device, we were able to reconstruct the file that was deleted from the device. And it was evidence of this guy raping a 13-year-old girl. So using our device, they were able to put him away, or this pedophile, basically. Um, so if you're doing something that has value and is giving back value to society, it's kind of fun to get out of the bed in the morning, right?
yeah. Yeah, especially yeah, that's terrible. I hate that because especially nowadays, not sure how it was back in the day, but I feel like now you hear more and more. Maybe it's because of the media and I don't know. You just hear more of that these days, and it's good to hear somebody like Ari that's doing what they can to fight like, either against that or just try to prevent it in the best way that they can.
Yeah, that's there's a lot of horrible things going on in the world, and it's definitely not me alone, right? There's a whole team, and without Adi coming up with the idea, this would never have happened. Without Ron, the CEO, to make it a reality, it would never happened. I was just part of that team, lucky to be part of that team, and probably anybody else on that team would have done my part, I assume.
Mhm.
So I feel like more than anything, I just got really lucky to be part of that journey. And sometimes that's what life is. It's just getting lucky, being at the right place at the right time.
Yeah, which I've heard. I forgot who said it, but it's kind of like luck is one thing, but from what it sounded like, you were creating your own luck.
I think that's fair. I mean, the what's it, the perspiration, 90% perspiration kind of saying, right? Look, if you don't work hard and you don't do the work, you're not going to get lucky, right?
Yeah,
Um, but if you do the work, then the chances of you getting lucky increase. Very.
yeah.
So I did the work, but you know what? I see people, they do the work, they're in the wrong place at the wrong time. So, you
Mm,
know, luck is a huge part of it. I gotta say, like, you can be awesome and you can just be in a bad situation, and you should not blame yourself for being in a bad situation. You should just see it as like, hey, how do I learn from this not to be in a bad situation like this again? Is all you can do. And I've had my fair share of bad situations too.
yeah, no, very well said. And again, stuff that people need to hear, man. I feel like we just need more of that good energy getting put out there. Just to touch on bad stuff that's going crazy on the world, you see what's going on over there in Los Angeles with the rioting?
No, is this new? What's happening? I'm
Oh my
disconnected.
God. Because I think a lot of people aren't really familiar with what's going on. After we get out of here, check it out, man. There's like a lot of protest. They call it protesting, which the word protesting now has evolved to like destroying the city. Like I don't know when
Holy
protesters
shit.
became so it is really crazy, man. So I guess like there's like a lot of Hispanic and I don't like it's like South American community in the state of Los Angeles.
Mm.
And with the President Trump, doing the ICE and trying to do all the deportations, I guess the people are like really not happy with it and they are tearing the city apart. For anybody that's not aware of what's going on in Los Angeles, take a second to check it out because when I was showing my girlfriend or my wife, sorry, excuse me, but my wife, I was like, it looks like it looks like a third world country.
Oh man, like the city's on fire.
Again, after they just put the fire out. Now which is crazy, man. It's sad to see. And as I get older, it's like you see this all around the world and you never think
Yeah.
that it's going to happen in your own land. And then you see it and it's like, wow, it's really, it only takes like a few button pushes to where I think everything's just going to be on its head.
Yeah. No, that you know, we I think that's one thing we need to acknowledge, that when we have a good situation going on, we should be appreciative of it, because we really are, as you say, a few small steps away from disaster. Um, yeah, shit, dude, I need to look into that.
Yeah. Do you put any thought or like, throughout the day to day, like there's a lot of crime. This is where I'm currently in Tennessee. And just the other day, there was a shooting. A 13-year-old shot and killed a 16-year-old at the state fair.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah. And it's funny enough, I was actually going to take my wife to that fair that same night.
Oh, my Lord.
And I know, and just had like, God bless us that we didn't. I hope everybody's okay. But I hear these things and I'm seeing these things online, and I notice myself going through, like, especially like in big crowded areas, to like, I'm looking at it differently. Do you put
Yeah.
any thought into like, self-protection, safety,
Yeah.
any of that?
I'll tell you one last story. This has been so much fun. I didn't even notice that
We got,
we're running out of
I
time. But
know.
I'll give you one last story, of really personal. I don't think I've told this
Please.
story ever. Um, mm, my son was in the both my son and my daughter were um, in the school shooting, basically in Colorado, right? The STEM school shooting, and I'm at work. And my wife calls, and the secretary comes in and she says, your wife is basically screaming, crying. You need to get there right now. Because I turned off my phone. I was in a meeting. Anyway, I pick up the phone and she tells me that there's basically a school shooting at the STEM school here in Colorado. And that's where my kids are studying. So you know, what do you do? Like, how do you react? So she's like, oh, I need to go there. I need to go there. But she was like losing it. Now, my wife is hardcore, but when it came to her children's lives, like, I wouldn't blame her. Like, she was not in a state to drive. So I told her, you are not getting in the car. I am going there right now.
Mhm.
The whole place was on lockdown, right? Police, firefighters, everything. I came into this parking lot a few blocks away. I put on my sales, communications negotiator hat, and I see a firefighter there. So, strike up a conversation and kind of, make a new friend. And he told me some stuff that he probably shouldn't have, but he told me that where the shooting was actually happening, because there were two buildings, and he told me that it was in the other building, not where my kids are, not in the preschool, basically. Um, and based on that, right, conversation that I had with the firefighter, I was able to call my wife and say, hey, they're probably fine. And even though we got this like inside intel from, a law enforcement officer on the radio, right? I gotta tell you, those 6 hours waiting to pick up my kids, they were the longest hours in my life.
I'm
Like,
getting goosebumps, man, just thinking about it.
dude,
Holy
I've been through
shit.
some shit in my life, a lot, and that was definitely the hardest. Like, that was definitely the hardest. And we couldn't go back to that school after that. Just even when I drive by that school, it's hard for me, right? um and yeah, it was horrific. But then you kind of, you need to keep going after that, and you need to think about how that affects your life and your politics and your philosophies. um and it just, nothing makes sense, right? Why would two children decide to kill a whole bunch of children? And there was this one story, this one boy who was a hero. He basically tackled the shooter and saved a whole bunch of lives. I wish I remembered his name to kind of give him that honor. um but yeah, I mean, like, we don't want these heroes. We don't want them to be a need for heroes at that age.
Right.
Like, just want you to play ball, man. Like, not. not be a hero and lose your life at such a young age. It just sucks. Um,
That
so yeah, I
is,
mean, life, even if you want to kind of ignore life, it comes and bites you in the ass once in a while.
yeah, damn, man. Thanks for sharing that with us. I know, like, I'm happy that everything's okay. I literally have goosebumps. Just, I don't know. I can like I can put myself in these situations and like, I can, obviously I don't understand the mindset, like what everybody was going through, but I could just only imagine what.
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing before I have to run. Like, nothing matters except for just, your health and having your family, be okay. Like, it doesn't like, okay, you have a mortgage, you missed a payment. Like, that's fine. Just if you're
Yeah.
healthy and everybody's okay in your family, you're golden. Like, enjoy it, smile.
Hell yeah. I love that. And that's a perfect way to end this and I hate that we have to end it, man, because we were just getting started. We didn't even get into the good stuff.
Hey man, I am happy to come back. This is on me that I don't have enough time today, but yeah, this was so much fun.
Yeah, man. All right. Well, I know you got to head out of here, so I'll let you go. Ari, please, if we can, we'll find some time in your busy schedule
Absolutely.
again, and maybe I can hold this episode and I'll cut the two together or something,
Sure.
depending on
Sure.
the time. If we
Sure
can make
thing.
it happen soon.
Sure
If
thing.
not, then it is what it is. But all right, brother, I know you got to go, so thanks for being
Absolutely.
here.
Delight. Thank you, sir.
See you, brother. Dang, man, that really it really hit me in a way. Like I could feel it. I'm not kidding at all. I was getting goosebumps just hearing his story because, again, the proximity that I have to like these horrible situations, like the shootings, and especially like a lot in my life too, growing up, I do remember like a lot of that stuff being a thing. And I think, like, yeah, my proximity to it, a lot of people, they hear it, they see it on their phone, on social media, and it just kind of goes over your head because you haven't been like close enough to the action to feel, to see what it would feel like and how it could just, yeah, damn, man, that is crazy. I can't imagine. And honestly, I'll share this with you guys too. My wife, my mom, and my brother and I, we were going to the CMA Fest this weekend in Nashville. And just because of everything's going on, bro, like I'm not going to this crowded place with all these drunk people acting up downtown in a major growing city and not coming prepared with personal protection and my firearm. So yeah, I brought my firearm along with me. Um, I didn't tell my mom about it until we got back. She's like, "What is this?" I was like, "Look at it. Like, look, open it up, look and see." It was like, "Oh my God, why do you have this?" And I'm like, "Well, this and this is going on, and stuff over here is happening, and people are acting like this. Like, I'd rather get caught with it than without it." And I know that sounds very cliche. It's probably from like a rap song or something, but it is true. And I know a lot of people that think the same way. So if you're not, I was gonna say something. If you're not strapped to the teeth, if you're not at least having some type of personal protection, like I always carry like a knife on me, not on me, but it's always in my vehicle, just something. I might not always carry a firearm in my car, but I always have a knife on me just in case I have to, make a getaway, or you never want to put yourself in that position to where you have to use deadly force. But if the time, if something happens and you're put in that situation, I hope that whoever's listening to this would act in a way that would protect yourself and your family. And if you have the means, maybe some of the pedestrians around you in your area. But for me, it's like, yeah, that's crazy, man. Could not imagine. But yeah, I'm really sad that we had to cut that one short. I know previously when we were lining this up, um, he said they only had 45 minutes, and the way that I kind of talk and I know I can get them talking, I just knew 45 minutes wasn't enough, but I did not know how great of like a presenter and speaker Ari was. So he kind of left us on red right there. But hopefully we can have him back in the future because if you guys want to look him up on LinkedIn, he is a very interesting dude that has a lot of life experience as we're hearing, and a lot of career, professional, and work experience. So I was really looking forward to hearing more about that one. Hopefully we can get Ari back on here in the future. But I guess that's all for everything. See you guys later. Bye, everybody. Okay, so I know not everybody has the time to sit down and watch or listen to a 2-hour long podcast. That's why I've created the Kicking It with Keener podcast newsletter. After every episode, you will get a summarized, shortened version of the guest's biography, a little bit of background about the guest, and some of the key talking points that we mentioned in the podcast. This will help save you time so you don't have to sit and listen or watch the whole podcast if you don't want to, as well as if you're not sure who I'm speaking to or what we're talking about, and you might not be interested, sign up to the newsletter, look at the email, and maybe through that you might find it interesting and then come back and watch and listen to the full episode. And with that, I will continue to do my best to improve my podcasting skills and my interviewing skills to one day bring on bigger guests that you would love to see me collab with.